Alrighty, guys, I am back. Sorry for those technical difficulties. That was like really crazy, guys. That's never happened to me before. I got all types of contraptions that hold phones, hold 3 and 4, hold iPads, everything. But anyway, I'm going to start over, guys. And I'm going to start over talking about, this is Knowledge by Nikki with 1K. And I'm going to go back in case some of you all are just now hearing me. And for those of you are coming back in, come on back in. I want to see you. And again, I was watching a sermon, and the sermon was a couple months ago, and it was kind of at that phase where we are not still on hostage mode for the pandemic, but we're back out, but everybody's still kind of in this restructuring mode. So as I was listening to this sermon, and for those of you all that were on before we had technical difficulties, you'll just kind of hear this again. The minister was talking about, and he's a minister that also is a business owner, so he preaches with this business connotation. Everything kind of connects to business. And he talked about the 3 currencies that we have. And it's not just a business thing, but even as an individual, you only have 3 currencies. That's all you got. That's the only thing you have to work with to build whatever you're trying to build. So he talked about the 3 currencies in the form of time, knowledge, and money. And as he proceeded to talk about this, he talked about how you use the ones you have, you use them to build the ones you don't. That is the goal of this currency. So in building the ones that you don't, it made me start to think about the position I was in and what I had to do and the changes I had to make. And this is really what this message is about, guys. It's about change. And it's about recognizing what you have and what to do to make the change. So let me keep going. When I was shut down for the pandemic, now I am a business restructuring coach. I take small businesses and I help them scale. I help them begin. I help them change and restructure whatever it is that they're doing that's clearly not working. That's one of the things that I do now. That was still going through the pandemic. But I own Salon Suites, which nobody was in. And I also am a vendor and a speaker at most of the major trade shows for my industry. So none of that was going on, right? So that's like 75% of my income, literally. Thank God that I did have the coaching, and so I still was able to stay afloat and do what I needed to do. But clearly, what I have now is time. I have a lot of time that I don't usually have, and it's costing me a lot of money to have this time. So I'm going to break down how these different things work and how you use the ones you have: time, knowledge, and money. You use the ones you have to create the ones you don't. So time, when I was actually shut down and I couldn't do things that I normally do, and I pay people to do just about everything. I'm not a do-it-yourself kind of girl. So I have no problems paying for people to do menial tasks, to do tasks that just save me time, all of that. That is what I prefer. But the one thing that I had to recognize that I needed to do was I needed to absorb some of those responsibilities. It made no sense for me to pay people to do things that I had the time to do. Now, what this meant for you all listening to me is that you also are going to have to learn some things that you're not accustomed to learning. And let me tell you, the beauty of me making that decision in this time was that I actually had to learn things, and I realized I actually enjoy doing some of these things that I learned. And also, it is not a smart decision to not have any clue about some of the mechanics of how your business works. You don't have to know everything because you cannot do it all by yourself. But it also gave me some insight into learning things about my business that was always put in the hands of someone else to do, that now I had a different understanding about how it moved, how it worked, how it didn't work. So that's the first thing. If you are paying people, if money is what you don't have or you have less of, but you have more time, then you take away some of the responsibilities that you would typically pay people to do. If you go out to eat a lot, you need to cook. Whatever, because you got time now. Think about everything you say, I ain't got time for that. You do now. So you need to start learning new things and doing more with the time you have that will save or be able to allow you to shift money. So you got to learn some new stuff, right? You may enjoy it. You also want to start offering up your time for free to build business relationships, personal relationships. Let me tell you what I did in the time that I had, that I wanted to help some other people that maybe were starting things or already were doing things, but maybe somebody in their particular workforce or staffing was, got sick, or somebody in their family got sick. Anyway, I offered up my time to help many people in areas of their businesses mostly that they needed help in, and they may have not had the money to afford to pay that at that time, or maybe they did, and I still offer my time for free. So guess what? I did this for 2 months, 3 months, and guess what? Now these people pay me. I created a need for me. I told them that I'm going to do this. You don't have to micromanage me. I got this. I'm going to lighten your load. And now these people don't want to not have me. So guess what? Now they pay me to do what it is that I had time for. So now I'm making more money, which is what it was costing me to have this time, from these things that I volunteer my services for. It actually even offered me, I never had a lot of time to spend with family, friends, take a trip, a non-work trip, just hang out, kick it, do whatever. Guess what now? Time has allowed me to reestablish and to build tighter bonds with people that will be there when I'm old. So I'm building currency for later. I'm investing in people so that for later, when I decide to hang up everything that I do, I will have those people there. So time allowed me to do that, guys. So look at your time. Time allowed me to build currency, which is what having the time cost me. Okay? Then let's talk about knowledge. Oh, knowledge is an easy one. We live in a how-to society. How to do everything. Okay? Whatever you want to know, YouTube University. I was saying earlier before we got disconnected, I literally will have one computer or iPad over here, and I'll have whatever computer I'm trying to do something on, or phone or iPad, and I'll be watching YouTube, telling me how to do it, and I'll be over here doing it. I used to hate having to go on YouTube. Now it's like the go-to. I don't care how simple it is. How to do this, how to do that. I remember I was in Texas. This was years ago when the push start cars were really just popular. There wasn't a lot of them. I rented a Toyota Prius. This Toyota Prius, when the rent-a-car place gave it to me, it was busy. They pulled the car up, had it running, said, look, we got everything, just sign this and go. So the car was already started. So I had to get gas. They're like, don't worry about the gas, we'll say that it was full and whatever, because they were busy. I get to the gas station, guys. First off, I really didn't even know how to turn the car off. So I hit the brake. And okay, the car went off. So then I got gas. I had no clue how to turn this car back on. This was way back. Whenever the years of, Priuses were very new. So that's how far back this was. I literally was asking everybody at this gas station, do you know how to start this car? Because I have no idea how to start this car. They were like, no, we have no idea. Guess what I did? I got the unction. YouTube was relatively new, but it had enough videos on there for you to learn how to do some stuff. I went right on YouTube. How to start a Prius. And that's how I got out of that lot, guys. So, we're in a how-to society. If you have some expertise in anything, I don't care what it is. If you got expertise in anything, you can package it up and profit from it. I don't care what it is. If you go on YouTube now, you will see people doing the craziest things. And guess what? Not only have they gotten their views up to where YouTube is paying them, but you can go into doing small in-person groups with this thing. You can actually do virtual memberships, Facebook memberships, Instagram, IGTV, create memberships from that, create extensions and links and in anything that you know how to do. Don't for a minute think that the knowledge that you have acquired in your life, personally or professionally, is something that someone else will not pay you for. Yes, they will. So if you got some time, you also got some knowledge, guess what? You can start putting some programs together, real simple stuff. You got all these social media streams that you can put it on and put it out there and start selling it. I don't care if it's $5, $10, $100. Create little interpersonal groups. Now we can do in-person stuff. You can do small in-person stuff. If you know more about money than the next person, if you know how to plant flowers, if you know how to cook a special kind of meal, I don't care what it is. We live in a how-to society. Use your knowledge. If you are in a school, I have people that own beauty schools, and I would tell them, because obviously people weren't going to school during the pandemic, and so some of them were not able to get PPP loans or EIDL loans. They weren't able to get any money. I said, why don't you teach people how to open a beauty school? Why don't you teach people that? If you understand the financial aid aspect, why don't you start selling those services? People who want to eventually get financial aid. Everybody was not unemployed. Start selling. Think about everything that you've done up to this point in your life. And I want you to go online and say, how many people do trainings in this area? Are there trainings out to do this? Are there trainings out to do that? You will find sometimes that something nobody's really doing it. So you need to plug that hole in. Your knowledge can take you to levels that nothing else can do. Your money can't even take you as far as your knowledge. You can lose money, but you don't lose knowledge. And guess what else? Knowledge has the greatest percentage or highest rate of return, because it costs you just to learn it, but you don't have to go buy a product, pay wholesale for it, market it, package it, all of that, and then try to sell it. You are taking and recycling life's lessons, things that you learned in school, things that you learned when you were a kid, things that you learned from the business you have or the job you have. Package that stuff up virtually, in person, memberships, and profit from it. Knowledge can acquire a lot of money. And let me say this, I learned this years ago when I decided to coach. People will pay you more for what you know than what you do. They'll pay you way more for what you know than what you do. Okay? Then let's go to money. Maybe you don't know a lot. Maybe you don't have a lot of time, but you do make a lot of money. And what you are looking to do is you make a lot of money, but you're a slave to your business. So you have no time for social life. You have no time for even building extensions to your business, because this thing that you have is consumed all your time and your energy. When you do get some time, you're tired. You don't want to do anything else because you just need a break. And in order to build what you're trying to build, you're going to have to learn more. But you don't have time to go to school. You don't have time to sit through an hour or a 2-hour webinar. You don't have time for it. So guess what you do? If you got the money, then the first thing you do is you pay anybody to do all menial tasks. Any task that that anybody can do. Instacart, you can now use these virtual platforms to deliver groceries. I've used Uber Package. I'm not running over here taking no package from here to here. Call Uber Package, put it in a car, have them take it. If it's cleaning your house, if it's a meal service plan, I don't care what it is. The first thing you want to do if you have the money is you want to start carving out more time for you to do a lot of things. Time for you to learn, time for you to forge relationships, time for you to build what it is that you're already doing. But if you have the money, the first thing is get all that menial stuff off your plate. Stuff you ain't got to be spending 2 hours at the grocery store. I don't care if you do love the grocery store. Get somebody else to do that. Get Instacart. You also will save money, even though money is not your issue. Because when you get a meal service or when you get somebody to go shop for your groceries, you only buy what you need. You don't buy a bunch of stuff just because you're in the store looking at it. Okay? So this is one way. Pay to get menial tasks. If you have to, I'm using my industry. I'm in the beauty industry. Pay for somebody to wash your towels. You don't need to spend an hour sitting at making sure you here so you dry the towels, because you mess around, let them sit in the washer too long. Now they stink. Now you got to wash them again. And then you get the drill, right? Pay somebody to wash those towels because you got the money. It's the time and the knowledge now that you need to acquire to build what you're trying to do. Okay? You also now, because you have the money, you also now maybe have carved a little more time out. You're using your knowledge to build what you're trying to do. You can now create extensions of your existing business. You have this restaurant. You've always wanted to have your own seasonings, your own sauces, if you have a beauty business, you've always wanted your own products. If you have a skincare business, you've always wanted your line of skincare. If you have a personal training business, you've always wanted to be able to have maybe some of your own gym equipment or some of your own supplements, things that you can put your name on and build as extensions to your business. That takes time, and it takes research, and it takes knowledge. So guess what? You either can pay somebody to do it, or you now can spend time learning more about how to create these extensions of your business, how to brand them, how to market them, how to bring them to the forefront, because now you done got all that menial stuff off your plate. You can pay for the knowledge for whatever it is that you need to learn in order to do this. So these things, now your money can give you your time back. Even if you just don't want to be a slave to the business anymore, you want to be able to just sit at home, go to the beach, do whatever. Use your money to be able now to build and leverage what you have to build more time, and more knowledge is going to be needed to acquire in order to do that. So you or someone you partner with, you now can pay for either you or you all together or them to go learn what it is that you need to learn in order to get more time back and to constantly spend more time gaining knowledge. So these are the three currencies, guys, that we have in life and definitely in business. Whatever one you don't have, you use the other two to build it. So just remember that. Time, knowledge, and currency. That is the question. So what are you going to do, guys? It's time for change, and it's time to use the gifts that God gave us. And this is Knowledge by Nikki with 1K.com. I'm going to be on every Mondays now. I'm just going to do Mondays because I don't have as much time as I once did. So I'm going to do a segment, knowledgebynikki.com, and I'm actually starting a podcast, so I'll keep you informed on that. But this is something that I want us to get as Black self-employed people. We have to shift our mindset and start thinking differently and stop being slaves. Yes, I said slaves to these passions that we have. I'm telling you, when passion with no structure, no strategy, it only leads to burnout. That's what it leads to, is to being flat, busted, burned out. All right? So just remember that. Have a great week. I'll see you next Monday. Knowledge by Nikki at 9. I'll be on at 9 a.m. Central and 9 p.m. Central. So you can catch me on both ends. So until then, have a great week.